When the February 22 earthquake happened, it really overwhelmed the civil defence and EQC authorities. They were very focused on the inner city, and the eastern side didn't get much help. And in the initial days, there was nothing really for people out there. The only thing that there was the church and other members of the community. So the church, we were approached by the local senior sergeant and asked if we would open up the church and become a distribution centre because there was just nothing else. And so we did, and everybody in the community knew it was the church, and the local MP, Leanne Dalzell, very much helping and supporting us. And so it was the police, the local MP, us, the army, Māori wardens, all working together to be able to get water, food, essential supplies. And everybody knew that the church was involved.
Without overstating it, if Grace hadn't been prepared to say, we've got the people and we've got the time and we've got the know-how, and the leadership of Grace wasn't what it was, then we would probably have struggled to do the work that we ended up doing.
Leanne Dalzell, who's the local MP, who by her own admission has not always felt that she's got on the best with churches, she said publicly, I believe that during this time the separation between church and state, the barrier between church and state has been broken down. She just felt that we all got on so well and that we were working together, and she said, the church has become really visible, and she said, I'd love to just see the church stay this visible all the time. And she made a comment too, she said, this was the greatest sense of community that she's ever felt in her life. And I would agree with that. And so we're able to organise ourselves quickly. And that was one of the things that the police senior sergeant commented on. He said it's the organisation that was missing. We just needed people to be able to just click their fingers and bang, something was able to be organised. And churches can do that because we do it all the time. We're always working with volunteers. So it worked really well, and we were proud what all the different churches did at that time.
This church, over the years, have bought these two houses here. Sadly, how bad they look has little to do with the earthquake. They're just two houses that the church has owned for a number of years, along with the land behind you, which were bought for possible future expansion. After the first earthquake, it was kind of a joke that they hadn't fallen down. After the second earthquake, those sorts of jokes stopped being funny. But the question was, they still hadn't fallen down, so what were we going to do with them? Because I guess, without trying to be too spiritual, you think to yourself, well, if there are so many houses around that have collapsed and so much need, and these two things are still here, then maybe we should actually be doing something with them rather than just moaning about them. So we approached Habitat for Humanity, who were looking to try and see whether there were ways that they could help the city. Not to fix these houses up and then give them to a couple of families, that's a possibility, but actually to use our site here as a base from which Habitat could then send rebuilding teams around the city. I think that building those sorts of partnerships with parachurch organisations, with community groups, is really essential. I also think it's so important that we see a breaking down of those traditional denominational barriers. There's about 20 churches in the greater area around us, and up until the earthquakes, they've all done their own little thing, trying to be relevant, trying to make sense of their situation, and each of them have struggled to be significant to the community because they've wanted to do it themselves. One of the great changes that come out of this is that all those barriers have dropped away. The key issue for us, how we love the people that we are amongst, how we bring Jesus amongst them, that's come to the fore in this, and we need to make sure that that stays there. And what we're discovering is that churches working together, parachurch organisations mixing in with that, boy, it's making such a difference. Those links are, I think they're really key.